Good morning. So this is a quick review and discussion about the two brand new football games using the exact same game engine that I've just completed. There is a link in this video description box to download both completed games. There is an FAC list in the back of those books. You can make your own FAC cards. These are completely free, print and play. You just gotta download the files and read them, and you can print them out. You'll need to make your own FAC deck by hand or type it up and create a PDF file. If there's anybody out there in the community that is really good at doing card layout and they want to create this PDF for printing and cutting onto nice cards, that would be fantastic. I have zero skill at that. I used to have a piece of software I was pretty good at manipulating. I could do it. When I lost my computer, I lost that software, and I do not have, I'm not good at using the free software I have now. So let's put it this way. I'd rather put my energies in designing and writing and playtesting and making videos than learning new software. So for those out there like, hey, you need to get a grip on software. Well, I'd rather put my energies toward the things I'm good at and leave you or others in the community to do the things they're good at. So if there is anybody out there who wants to take this list from either rule book, again, the FACs are identical for both football games. So all you need to do is make one deck of cards, and either set of rules will work for this deck. So again, I talked about yesterday about game engines. If your game engine is sound, you can have all kinds of ways to create rules around that game engine, or rate teams or players or whatever. So like my big country basketball, the basic abstract fast play game is sound. I can then make a D66 chart and use that same concept to have a full basketball game, right? Using dice and charts. These use, I think, fast action cards are, for me, are the best, are the most exacting way to create a really solid simulator for simulating a sport. I've talked about that already. That's not a knock on dice and charts. I love dice and chart games. They're efficient, they're fast, they're durable. You can have as many charts as you need. You can use any size dice or as many dice as you need. That is not a knock on dice and charts. What I'm saying is, for speed of play, for delivery of information, and for finite control of what I want you to experience, the FACs are it, right? So again, these are completely free PDF files. I will put a link to Candlelight Games, Jason Graham CCD Football. There is the full roster edition. This edition 1.2 has been available. It is completely done. There have been some key changes you have to note to the deck of cards. The cards themselves haven't changed, but the rules pertaining to how we use them must be followed if you want to have the most, if you want to keep the integrity of the results intact and the dynamism of creating a unique quarter of football for every football game you ever play. So you have to shuffle and remove cards every quarter if you want to have the most unique and dynamic and keeping the integrity of results intact. Whether you use possessions at the time of your games or you use the cards at the time of your games, I don't care. I give both versions, but you still need to take 10 cards out of the deck randomly for every quarter of play. Okay, so what's changed in the full roster edition? Well, again, not much. I just read, I've already talked about this yesterday in the new revision. This is the full roster edition, meaning every player, starting player on both sides of the ball has a rating. You got your special teams are rated and your backups. And this game uses a much more nuanced and nuanced charts. So you'll match up, you'll add up players and add them against defensive players for turnovers, big plays, for punts, kicks, kick returns. So we have a more dynamic and nuanced game. Again, I redefined. It's a 42 card custom deck. You need to have 30 to 32 on the table, 10 of them dealt out of the deck to resolve play. All right, so again, this game uses individual players, so you're going to have more dynamic special teams versus the team edition. Big plays, fumbles, all that stuff's different here, right? And then, of course, we have era charts, which you can design your own era charts. This is the fictional era. This is the fictional charts, assuming you're gonna, just make fictional teams and play the base game. So every time you flip a card, you roll a d6 to see who the ball carrier is or the intended receiver is. And the intended receiver will tell you who's in coverage unless your team's in the zone, but I would still use this for tackles in a zone. And of course, if you have a breakaway, you're looking at back, blocker, and tackler, right? Okay. Injury doesn't change no matter what era you're using. And then the injury duration chart here, right? Okay. How to make historical rosters. I already went over this in a video. And then we have early era charts. So again, when you roll that D6, it's going to tell you who's carrying the ball, who's getting the blocks, who's getting the tackles, who's intended receiver in coverage. And there's special rule legend to tell you who a wingback is off your basic rosters. And then, of course, every zone, the zone defenses change for all the different eras. Okay, and then we have the modern era / Canadian rules. This would be modern pro football. This would be like the 2016, 2018 to today. And Canadian football, right? If you wanted to use for, again, ball carriers, blockers, etc. And then the 50s through the 1990s era, this would cover your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, and your 90s to the mid-2000s, I would say. But again, these are just weighted D6, who's involved in a block, who's involved in carrying the ball, who's involved in tackles, and who's involved in catching passes. So you could customize this for the 70s. You can make your own 70s chart that sticks to kind of the history of how they ran the ball, trap plays. Did the center get involved in the 70s a lot in blocking? Yep, they sure did. Did they as much? There are eras in which the center wasn't necessarily a key blocker, right? There's an era where the guards were really big blockers in running, but now we have a whole different type of football game. Or you could even make these customized to teams, but just remember, you don't want to overweight the best players for the Dolphins, for instance. Okay. However, it helped the Dolphins get 3,200 yards rushing and go undefeated if you do. So you could create a Dolphins playbook for the 72 Dolphins that is accurate. Where they ran the ball, who got their blocks, and that might help the Dolphins go undefeated and have big runs. Okay. And then we have the FAC deck. So I tell you how to do this here. There's 42 cards in the deck. You have take 21 index cards. You want to cut them in 2 equal halves for cards. That'll give you 42 cards. And then you just want to jot down on the cards all of these results. So the first card will just say pass and complete on it. There's no alternate result on the card. The second card will say run for 3 yards. Again, you can customize this. You can even decide you want this to tell you who the target was. Pass and complete, split in. It's up to you how much you want to put on these cards. But if you want the exact engine that I've been playtesting for a couple of weeks, because I was playtesting the deck of cards before I even started with the rating systems. Anyway, and in refining that deck of cards yesterday, I refined the team edition of the game. So again, feel free to edit and customize, make your own FACs. I don't care. You'll notice I wouldn't write on the card that it's card number 1, but you could. This is just the data spot. But I do note that C means a conditional card, meaning there's 2 results. If the teams get a sack, then that's what you go with. If the team fails to get the sack, then it's an incomplete pass. So conditional cards mean if this roll fails, this is the result. If this roll fails on the condition, this is the result. If the penalty fails, there's no flag. Injury tackler, if this card comes up, you always check injuries to the defensive tackler. If this card comes up, you always check the injury to an offensive player. Right? There is no injury check. You just go and look and see who got hurt, right? Okay. If the pass interception comes up, you gotta prove it by picking it off. If not, it's incomplete, right? So those are the conditional cards, and then I cards or injury cards, and then penalty cards are all by themselves, but there is a condition. They still have to happen, right? The defense still has to be penalized. And then, again, my penalties are on my cards. I actually wrote the 6 digits and what they are on my cards for ease of play. But you can print this out and just have your offensive penalty chart and your injury chart. This is for the, now this edition has its own injury and penalty rules. So the full roster edition, you're probably not going to want to use these 2, but you could. right? These are for the team edition right here. And then I describe what the penalties mean. And there you go. So that's the finished full roster 1.3 edition. And again, you're going to have to, unfortunately, you're going to have to make your own FACs. Or you can, again, input them into your favorite spreadsheet, and actually have it align them to make cards and print them out and cut them out on cardstock. All right, then the game that I kind of kept to my vest as I was fine-tuning the team ratings, it uses the exact same FAC deck. So again, one game engine and two different rule books, two different ways to rate teams and play the game, which also means there's different rules for stuff, right? Again, the D6 in this, for instance, is used for all of those conditional cards. All right, so that means this rule book had to have some changes. How we rate the teams. Teams are rated in 6 offensive attributes and 6 defensive attributes, adjustments. And then, of course, we have 6 special teams, averages and static ratings, right? So there we go. Offensive attributes, we talk about the ratings and how those work and how they are used in play. And then I give you 4 examples in play of how this system functions. And then when you would use the D6 system are on the conditional cards and results. And then this is how you rate your teams. Each team must roll a D6 for all of their categories. So you're going to roll this for offense, all these categories, and then you're going to do it again for the defensive side. So offense and defense have the exact same attributes. Offense, this is how well they throw the bomb. This is how poorly they throw interceptions. This is how well they protect the quarterback. This is how well they get breakaway runs. This is how well they avoid fumbling the ball away. And this is how they draw penalties or suffer penalties on offense. On defense, this is, how they give up that big play touchdown. This is how they, add to picking off passes. This is how they pressure the quarterback. This is how they stop the big run. This is how they recover those loose balls. And this is how they draw, or they can either force the offense to penalize or they can suffer a penalty. So a +2 on an offensive card you want, because you're going to make it harder for the offense to not be penalized. But a +2 defense means they also draw more penalties. An aggressive defense is going to make the other team nervous and make mistakes. But that aggressive defense is also going to find themselves making more penalties, right? So you're going to roll this and have 6 ratings for the offense, and you're going to have identically 6 adjustment ratings for the defense. These are added up for those conditional cards to give you a range on the D6, and if the D6 number falls in that range, it's true. That card result is true. It is a penalty. It is a touchdown run. It is a fumble away. It is a fumble lost. Okay. Then you're going to roll for your 6 special teams. Your punt average, which never changes. Again, these are static in this version of the game. So your punter, if you roll a 53, that punter is always booming big punts. You're going to have your punt return static return. You're going to have your kick return static return. You're going to have your field goal kicker's ability to make a field goal no matter how far out. So a 5, he'll make field goals on a 5 or a 6, only on about 35% of the time. So this is a really bad field goal kicker. No matter where you're at, whether you're at the 2 or you're at the 42, he's bad. This field goal kicker is damn good. He's going to make 67% of his kicks, field goal kicks, no matter where he is at, whether he's at the 2 or he's at the 38. And then PAT, there's going to be a 50-50 chance. You're either going to have a guy who can miss a kick, which is a 17% chance. It's horrible, but it is the way it's going to be in my game because I want to keep to the simple D6. And but there's also a 50% chance your place kicker will never miss a kick. So again, you can always feel free to use dynamic punt return, kick return. And remember, this is designed for fictional teams, so you can design your own special teams and things. You can certainly design your own field goal percentage charts, your own PAT percentage kicks. You can have a 6 mean you might miss it, and then you can have them roll something else to confirm a miss. It's all up to you, but I don't. And then turnover return touchdown. Every defense is going to have a score. If they recover a fumble, you roll to see if they take it back to the house. If they pick it off, you roll to see if they take it back to the house. And if they roll that number higher or they roll a 6, they do. And already this morning in my first game of the season of using the team charts, Both teams have scooped and scored. Both teams have recovered a fumble and taken it back to the house for a touchdown. So we've already had 2 defensive scores in the first quarter, and 1 drive of my game this morning on the video. All right, and then this is what a team looks like when you roll them up. So the Chicago Blizzards offense, these are their abilities. Remember, they're really, again, not very good protecting the ball and passing. They are an explosive running team. They're a decent passing team. They do give up sacks, and they do fumble the ball. But, boy, they are a disciplined offensive penalty. However, because they're so disciplined, they also don't draw penalties from the defense as much. Their adjustments, well, they give up pass TDs on average, but they pick off passes pretty good. They get after the quarterback. They do not give up big run touchdowns easily, and they do get fumbles on average, and they do suffer penalties or help draw off offensive penalties at a pretty average rate. Their punter is a 43 average. Their punt return is a 7. Their kick return is a 22. Their field goal kicker is pretty damn good. 4, 5, and 6 is good from anywhere on the field. So 50% kicker. Again, it's going to sound horrible, but again, over the course of their career, these numbers can easily be changed by those who want more realistic, modern numbers. I don't care. I'm playing fictional football, so the skilled players just won't be as good in my little world. PAT is automatic, so he won't miss PATs, and their chance of returning a fumble recovery or an interception for a touchdown is a 50% chance. I wrote down their top skilled players for stats and record keeping, their top defensive players. So again, this isn't their full roster. This is just their top pass rusher, their top defensive tackle, their inside linebacker star, their outside linebacker star, their coverage star, cornerback, and their safety, their best safety. And then their place kicker, their punter, and their return man. So this would all be box score stuff or statistical stuff. So that's what Chicago looks like in this game. And then, of course, I talk about the deck of cards and the game engine. Now, again, remember in this, the rules are different. So you're going to want to look, you want to read these, how all that works. And how the range now works for scoring a big run touchdown or a big pass touchdown, or whether the ball is actually intercepted by the defense, or whether an interception or fumble is returned for a touchdown, whether the fumble is lost and can be returned for a touchdown, whether there's a sack or an incomplete pass, whether there's an injury tackle. This you don't roll, you just check injuries, see who's out. Penalty, of course, you finish the play, then you check to see if the offense does indeed get a penalty or the defense gets a penalty. Plays from scrimmage, every single card flip is a play from scrimmage, so it makes it easy to track stats if you want it in time. And passes beyond the end zone, again, this just defines whether it's incomplete or a touchdown. The exact same 42 card FAC list to build your FAC deck. These penalties and injury charts pertain to this team edition. I would use the other penalty and injury charts for the other version, but I put it in here twice. This is because you could use this for either edition, but this is for the team 2.2 edition. And that's it. So there's both rule books. You'll have to make your own FACs, or maybe, like I said, somebody in the community out there might feel compelled to type up and present a nice PDF that you can print and cut out on cardstock. And there you have it, folks, completely free. 2 football games. And here's the thing. Here's complete 2 football games designed for fictional team creation, player creation. Both use the exact same fast action deck. And here's the deal. Because they use the exact same football engine, you could make your LA Raider, your LA, Earthquakes, your LA Quakes full roster. And you can make your LA Quakes team cards, and you could play LA Quakes. You could, one day you decide, hey, I want to use the team cards today. And tomorrow it's the game of the week. I'm going to use the full rosters for the game of the week. And because they're using the same football engine, you're going to get standardization. So your LA roster and your LA team can all be used. You can play either game, and you're going to get standardized quality results. The big plays are still there, but they're determined by individual players or by teams. Interceptions are either by players or teams. So my point is this: you could play the nuanced. You could play your full roster for your games and use the team version for everybody else's games. Either way, they're interchangeable. You're going to get the same quality of results. So they're completely compatible is my point. Completely compatible. And so that's pretty unique. One game engine and two different rules, two different rule games, or two different games. One game engine, two different rule sets for it. All right, everybody, I'll put a link to this. It'll be a link to this folder, and then you can come in here and grab both games and do what you want. All right, everybody, all I ask is that all rights, respect the copyright, all rights reserved. Do not sell this, right? You can certainly do homebrews. You can tweak it. You can add charts to it. You can tweak the FACs. I'm okay with people modifying and using it and stuff, but don't sell it. Share it freely, make tweaks to it, just call it, make sure you name, you say, hey, this is, my version of the full roster edition or whatever, but, just, respect the copyright and don't sell it, please. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.